Before trying to get your ex back, here are a few questions to ask yourself, because these are important things to consider. First and foremost is to ask yourself if this person still wants you. There's no point in getting into a relationship. There's no point in getting back someone who's already gone in their head. There's no point to make all those efforts for days, weeks, months, just to keep that person from coming back. You have to check if this person still wants you. There are a few little signals. Maybe it's the speed with which they pick up your calls. Maybe it's the fact that they call you from time to time. Maybe there are a few indirect approaches. It could be all those people around you whom we contact and tell that we're sorry we lost you. It could be lots of other things. But you need some signals. And not just a little hello to say, no, that person still wants me. No. You need to check that this person still wants to get back in touch with you. The second element is to try to understand why things went wrong. Because if you don't understand what led to the separation, you're going to break up as often as you can. You'll even change partners. But you won't be immune to separation. In fact, none of us is immune to separation. What I mean is that the probabilities will be much higher. Simply because you haven't had the humility to take all the factors into account. A separation can arise of, a mistake on your partner's part. It can be born of misunderstanding. It can be born of a disagreement. It can arise from an unbearable flaw in your partner, or an attitude that isn't really a flaw, but which you call a flaw. The reverse is also true. It can arise from a benevolent attitude on your part, which is misunderstood by your partner, or which is not as valuable in your partner's eyes. But it can also arise from your mistakes, your real faults. And you need to understand all that. Instead of telling yourself, he left because he couldn't stand this. She left because she couldn't stand that. I know someone who was surprised to see his wife leave, because he said to me, but wait, she's leaving and yet I told her I can't separate myself from my family. I refuse to choose between my family and her. Okay, that's fine, that's normal, that's your right. And it's not even a question of choosing. But who do you want to make your life with? Is that person worth the sacrifice? That's up to each individual, but in any case, getting back to what we were talking about, it's important after a separation. Instead of spending your time crying, it's important to understand why we parted and to see what we need to put in place, not only to avoid making the same mistakes, but also perhaps to prevent our partner from making the same mistakes that led us to leave. But in this case, it's our partner who's leaving. So once we've verified this second element, there's a third question to ask ourselves. Is this person in a relationship? Here's a question that all those people who want to get their ex back don't ask themselves. Is my ex still in a relationship? Some people are often surprised and tell me, I feel like God has abandoned me. I've prayed so hard for him to send my ex back to me, but that person never comes back. But we don't realize the seriousness of what we're asking of heaven, the seriousness of what we're asking of our friends, whom we tell to make an effort to get this person back. We're so selfish and focused on, this goal, that we forget that maybe our ex has met someone new in the meantime, and that we're asking heaven, our friends, our entourage, his family, to make this person come back to us. Is to ask, life to cry out for someone else's suffering. It's asking our friends to be accomplices in the suffering that will be created in this person who was beginning to have hope to build a relationship. And sometimes we'll say, no, I don't care. What's important is that if she didn't know how to keep him, if he didn't know how to keep her, that's her problem. What's important to me is what I've got. It's mine and everything. No, what's yours can't be taken away. But if you lose what's yours, if you find it with another owner who has all the papers, who has all the rights to keep the thing, it's going to be hard to get it back unless there's an agreement. What I mean more simply is that in this recovery of our ex, we have to make sure that this person is not in a relationship. We mustn't be responsible for the suffering that the other partner who has just arrived will experience. The other thing to bear in mind, beyond our faults, is to ask ourselves whether we've brought enough value into this person's life. Because if we've brought too much value into that person's life, we'll have a lot less effort to make. We're much more easily forgiven when we play an important role in the other person's life. Because this person, our partner, is aware of having lost something. On the other hand, when we haven't played a big role, and if that was even the cause of our separation, we're going to separate again. In fact, the odds are much higher that we'll break up. So there are certainly many other reasons that we need to take into account before trying to get our ex back. Because if we limit ourselves to just the last one, which is to verify the value we've brought to this person's life, after which it's up to the person to define it, of course. But if we limit ourselves to this factor alone, we understand that it's up to us to understand our partner, study the person, and see how we can be extremely useful in his or her life. If we're not useful, we're quickly forgotten. If we're not useful, we're easy to leave. When we're not useful, we're not mourned, we're not missed. When we don't bring value to someone else's life, we're easy to leave. So don't be that person who's quickly forgotten. Don't be that person who's desperate to get their ex back without understanding why it didn't work out. If that person still wants to be with us, if that person likes us so much, or if that person is in a relationship, don't be that person. That's it for this video.